Joining us now is a founder and managing partner of media advisory firm Methuselah Capital Advisors, John Chachas. Chachas is also the former co-head of Lazard's global media practice. John, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
If you were advising Andrew Mason, what would you have told him?
Take the money. Take the money. $6 billion is a lot of capital, whatever the number is that's being talked about.
So he made a mistake.
Look, he clearly is building a phenomenal business. This business didn't exist 3 short years ago, and is going to define a place in the digital economy sort of the way Google did. But that's a big number. That's sort of that's the size of the GDP of a small country.
It is. It's a huge number. But don't you give him some credit for building this business and perhaps keeping it as an independent firm later?
Oh, enormous credit. I mean, entrepreneurs like this are what make media and information so fascinating. They come out of nowhere. They change how people live their lives.
Right.
And yeah, sure, you want to see the entrepreneur rise up and grow and build into these enormous companies. Let's look at Steve Jobs. Apple at one point was on its knees.
Right.
It's now
but Groupon you see as something fitting into a bigger one, though.
Oh, sure. Groupon's going to.
Okay.
It's an enormous space. I mean, the local marketplace is sort of the new frontier for the web, and figuring out a way to harness consumers and helping consumers make purchase decisions is what this company has really done.
Just break this down for me. Has Groupon changed a business model?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, small businesses and merchants have always typically had to spend advertising or PR dollars in order to get somebody in. In a way, Groupon's harnessed technology to allow consumers who are interested in goods or services to be the definer of what the discount's supposed to be. So it is. It's a very new thing.
Okay, so we're going to see a proliferation of, we've already seen that.
Well,
even more.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you have now 3 or 4 big companies all vying for their place in this environment. Facebook's local. Foursquare is here. Google was clearly interested. I mean, there are 4 or 5 big companies that really know that helping the consumer on a local level, attacking the consumer on a local level, it's a huge business.
Which tells me that there could be perhaps 4 or 5 other candidates outside of Groupon. Then
you clearly are seeing the emergence of these companies and the descent of them equally quickly in this economy.
Talking about changing business models. Rupert Murdoch, famous for doing that.
Sure.
He's trying to now create a newspaper or a news publication.
The Daily.
The Daily, specifically for the iPad.
Right. Mr. Branson is doing one for the magazine industry.
Right.
All of that is terrific for the media world. Having people like this who are real iconoclasts and who can rethink the way the consumer has their interface with their product, it's a great thing for media. Whether or not the Daily ends up being the largest newspaper consumed online or not isn't the point. I think Murdoch.
He's changing the business model.
He's changing, and he's redefining the experience and the expectation of the consumer of what they're supposed to pay for online versus what they're supposed to get for free.
But the problem is that advertisers don't know what they're supposed to be charged, right?
Well, they were trained. The first generation of the web had everyone trained to think that just because it was available, you could go to your PC at your desktop and find it, that it was supposed to be for free. And in a sense, what I think Branson's doing by saying, you've got to pay me $2.99 for my really cool hip magazine, or what Mr. Murdoch is doing with the Daily is helping to redefine the nature of that relationship with the consumer. To redefine it,
but they're still doing it at a point when people are still getting their content online. I believe as long as you've got that, it's going to be harder to get paid for, right?
This migration is clearly going to be a struggle that traditional legacy media companies fight with for a very long time. But I'll tell you, the technology changes are really altering the landscape a lot. You mean
like the iPad?
Well, the tablet and the mobile. I mean, it's very possible that in a very short period of time, your desktop, your PC, is really not where you get the bulk of your information. And when you walk through that security at the airport, you're not carrying your laptop anymore. You're carrying your tablet or you're carrying your smartphone. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, the nature of the relationship with the consumer changes. So I think there are these moments along the evolution where people can redefine the economic model. They can say, no, you can't have all that content unless you pay me something for it.
But how does that change exactly? I mean, I'm still going to go on the web and I'm still going to get my information. Yes, I'm going to get it on my mobile phone. I'm going to get it on an iPad. But how does that change exactly?
Well, we're seeing some models emerge where you can go to the web and you can go to my website 3 or 4 or 5 times, but on the 6th time you can't get past that first screen. There may be limitations on the length of the story that's available. There are a variety of tools. The question is whether the owners and the creators of the content can figure out a way to harness all this technology.
Well, leave it up to Rupert Murdoch to try to get that.
I wouldn't bet against Mr. Murdoch.
John, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.